Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, your premier platform for real-time global insights. Well, the end of May always has a lot of us meteorologists thinking back to May 31st, 2013. This is a special radar out of Oklahoma called the Raxpol radar, and what it is showing you here was a powerful supercell coming in there on the left-hand side of your image, and right here is where the hook echo pops out on the southwest side, and this is the El Reno, Oklahoma, a powerful tornado which produced a damage swath 2.6 miles wide. That is right now the world record holder for the widest tornado. Well, this weekend, the severe weather action was not in the South Central Plains. Instead, it was in the Pacific Northwest. David Ross sent me this great picture here well, you can see the front end of a squall line. This is shelf cloud moving through just west of Spokane. And there was quite a bit of damage from these storms in the Columbia Basin. You can see right in here the hail reports and the strong wind reports. And after the severe weather went through there on the 30th, pulling into parts of Alberta, it eventually moved its way over into Montana the next day. And Lori sent this into the National Weather Service at Missoula in Montana. You can see some of the strong straight line winds here just knocking the trees down. So it was the Pacific Northwest dealing with this deep trough that really saw a lot of the severe weather. Now, after that, okay, so we saw the severe weather here and the severe weather here. We watched over the weekend a lot in the high plains here. In fact, even down with some monsoonal moisture that came into parts of Arizona, some great thunderstorm action down there as well. Meanwhile, much of the central part of the United States went through the weekend without much rainfall. And even though we were still dealing with flooding rains at the end of the week and weekend down here in parts of the Carolinas with some spotty storms south of there and what was leaving here in the northwest at the beginning of the weekend, the northeast at the beginning of the weekend, like I said, the midsection of the country was really quite dry. Now, I'm going to take you right here and show you one amazing shot that was taken in Macon County, Illinois. Kyle Smith taking this one for us. Long exposure here, seeing the Milky Way. And those clear skies were incredible in the midsection of the United States after what had been a pretty wet last 45 days for a lot of people in this part of the country. Now, those clear skies, though, across the midsection of North America did give us this. May 29th at 5 a.m., you can see in parts of Saskatchewan, getting all the way down here into parts of North Dakota, there was some patchy frost in that area and may have been some damage to canola, for example, in parts of Saskatchewan. As we then worked our way into the 30th, we can see getting into southern Manitoba, frost widespread in through this area. And then as we got into yesterday, Sunday the 31st, that colder air made its way into parts of, look around here into parts of Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, the UP, and then even into this part of Michigan. This cold air is now moving into New England today and over into parts of the Canadian Maritimes. So this is sweeping through, but behind it, some very warm conditions building into the central part of the United States. We're going to talk about those in just a few moments. Now, the rest of this video is going to be set up by discussing this pattern. We're looking at troughs and ridges right down here on the North Pole. And to start things off, we are a little bit blocked up here in the North Atlantic. That's an omega block. And remember, omega blocks give us a lot of meridional flow. That's north-south flow in the jet stream versus west-to-east flow. And that means the pattern tends to get scrunched up, blocked, and doesn't move. And depending on the wavelength, we can even get things moving backwards. That's like troughs that move back to the west rather than progressing to the east. And you're going to see that happen right here. And this omega block out here in the Atlantic is critical to watching this pattern evolve. So you can see it tightening up here as we work into the day on Tuesday. Look at this block. And because of that, that's going to be critical to understanding a few features. One, if you watch, that trough retrograded back here toward, the Hudson Bay. And what it's going to do is it's going to make a region from the Canadian prairies through the north central United States, getting over into the Great Lakes states and east, right through this area, have quite a bit of strong to severe storms this week. And we're going to talk about those in a few moments. But because of that, it's going to help guide this tropical system coming out of the Bay of Campeche, potentially right here into maybe the Texas-Louisiana coastline. Now, we do not know where that is going. There is still a broad area in through here where this potential tropical storm could go, tropical system could go. And we're going to talk about that in just a few moments. So we need to watch it carefully. But it will all depend on where this ridge is in the middle part of the country as to where that feature comes in. What will eventually kick it out is this trough that you see right here. Now, working our way into the weekend, this is a very deep trough coming into the northwest. So cool weather, unsettled weather, and this is a very similar pattern set up to the past weekend, which brought in the unsettled and even at times severe storms. Well, as I play this forward, getting into early next week, that trough will come through the Intermountain West by next Tuesday, and it would kick out whatever system does come out of the tropics in through here and pull it onto the east. Now, the thing about our major modeling centers, the ECMWF and the European, is the European is slower with this trough, which is going to pull the moisture from that tropical system farther into Texas. You'll see it in a few moments. Whereas the GFS wants to take this trough and sweep it through quicker and take the tropical system with it, pulling it much farther to the east, over here toward Florida. One thing that is important is that the trough is coming through. Now, why I say that is because with the heat that is building and the downstream omega pattern, if we would have blocked up the North Pacific as well, we would have been stuck in extreme heat for a long time in June. But instead, this trough is sweeping through. And that's why I'm spending so much time on this animation, so that you understand what I'm about to share with you. So let's just take a look at what the Weather Prediction Center is looking at here in terms of total accumulated precipitation through the next 7 days. You can see the stormy pattern, which I discussed for you here. We're going to talk about the details of when and where those storms come through. But from parts of the high plains down to the south central United States, and then stretching here through the mid-south over toward the mid-Atlantic, there will be a corridor in there that is going to be dry. Where the tropical moisture ends up coming from when this tropical system emerges, if it comes here or spreads a bit farther to the east, we do need to be watching the right-hand side of this system for having the biggest push of moisture. But this could impact the whole of the Gulf Coast, and we need to see about that. And with the broader trough sweeping back through, as you saw at the end of the time period here, we will watch for storms once again to come into parts of the Pacific Northwest. Now, compared to average, this is how things look. Again, you can see that drier sector in through here, but storms all in through this area riding over the periphery of that ridge. And once again, we'll have to talk about where the heaviest rain threat comes in with this tropical system, and let's go right there. National Hurricane Center is giving this a 70% chance of developing over the next 5 days. As we watch its potential path, we're going to go only to the European to start things off. And that's because the European model historically is the better performer. So what we see is, because of the slowness of the trough that comes out of the Pacific Northwest early next week, the system gets pulled in the European back over towards Texas, with its remnants then getting dragged with the broader trough through, for example, the Midwest. You can see it better if you look at the individual tracks right in through here. Now, this is not set in stone, nor do we know the strength of this system. And it is a possibility that it goes farther to the east rather than what you're seeing here. But this is what we have as of early in the morning here on Monday, June 1st. So to show you the differences in the speed of that trough that comes from the northwest, there's the GFS, and here is the European. Notice with the GFS, the biggest push of moisture is farther to the east, where with the European, it's bringing it back into this area. So this is a major model difference, and what you're looking at here is a 10-day precipitation anomaly map. With the GFS's deeper trough, it is more stormy in through this area, and that does sweep into here as well. Whereas the European, we can still see the storms coming out of the Canadian prairies into the northern plains and Great Lakes, but we'll have to see how far to the south these storms do eventually make it. So we're going to watch and talk about that here in the next few moments. So getting straight into what the Storm Prediction Center is on the lookout for. Day 1 outlook, so this would be for today on Monday. We can see the low that's sitting here up in Saskatchewan. We can see the high pressure cell that's over parts of the mid-Atlantic, and the moisture return around it doing something like this. Our target area today, if we're going to watch for the strong to severe storms, will probably be in this part of the high plains. As we work our way into day 2, though, this is where things are going to be quite critical. High pressure cell moves into here, and heat builds in the plains, and we almost get this ring of fire type setup right in through here. So what we're going to do is we're going to be watching the eastern part of South Dakota, northeastern parts of Nebraska, and then right here through northern Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, eventually getting over into Michigan for the greatest threat of severe weather. Again, that's that ring of fire setup, which could also be bringing some storms down here in our kind of monsoonal flow setup into parts of Arizona and New Mexico. Getting then into day 3, we notice a very windy day in parts of the Canadian prairies and Montana. We then see there's going to be this lingering boundary sitting right in through here on which we're going to watch for those storms. And I'll tell you something, the position of where the Storm Prediction Center currently has its slight risk, this may move north or south depending on the outflow of the storms from the day before. So again, this is in the day on Wednesday. Broad region there where there's a boundary on which storms are going to fire. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has given the odds on day 4 and day 5 too low to predict at this point. So we're just going to put out there something to look at. Our thunderstorm environment index that we produce here at Nutrien suggests we do need to keep an eye on this area in the day on Thursday and once again on the day on Friday. Could have a good environment there for potential for strong to severe storms. We'll keep you updated throughout this week on what that potential looks like as we work our way through Thursday and Friday this week. So let's go straight to the European model and watch it. You can already see the high pressure cell that's in place here, the low that is in parts of Saskatchewan, and what we're going to do is we're now going to see how these pieces move together over the coming days. So let's pause it there and step you back. Ready? So throughout the day on Monday, getting into Monday afternoon and evening, now working our way into Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon and evening, what we're going to be watching is this area right in through here, okay? Broad sector of thunderstorm development to the south. Remember, this is that ring of fire we're going to see set up. But look at this. This is now in the evening hours. This will be the area in which on Tuesday we're going to watch most carefully, Tuesday evening. As we play our way then into Wednesday morning, and then Wednesday afternoon and evening, we're going to watch again this area for the severe weather threat. To the south of it, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms. In the Canadian prairies, same thing. You can see it there. Now, our tropical system emerging out of the Bay of Campeche, keep an eye on it, because we're now working through Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon and evening. And again, let me just take you back there. You can see that on Thursday evening, remember where we were watching right in through here for the strong to severe storms? Let's keep an eye on that, with more widespread rain and scattered thunderstorms to the east into parts of the Ohio Valley. That's Thursday evening. As we then go forward here into Friday morning, Friday afternoon and evening, another frontal boundary comes pulling through, and that's again why we're watching this area for the chance for strong to severe storms. But as we then get our way into the weekend, this is where the deeper trough pulls into the northwest, so unsettled weather here. And this is where we finally get to see where at least the operational European model takes the tropical system out of the Bay of Campeche. So this is Saturday night. Look at the storminess here in parts of Alberta, Saskatchewan. Look at the whole of the northwest, really seeing some unsettled weather into this weekend. Now, what does the European model do? Well, I'll just keep an eye down here. You can watch your own particular area, but just see what the operational does. You see, the deeper trough is here, and it's helping to pull the moisture from this back over toward the Texas coastline. See it right in through there? And then from this point on, it gets pulled up into this region. But I'm not going to show you the operational run here because it's not going to give us any meaningful information as we look all the way out here to June 9th with the operational run. So let's go over then back to our week 2 model runs from the GFS on the left and the European on the right. So as I talked about, the European wants to keep the system farther to the west in Texas and pull it right up into this area. It will then meet up with the thunderstorm activity coming out of the Canadian prairies. The GFS brings the trough in sooner, so it keeps this area stormy, but what it does is it brings more of the moisture in through this area. And then the GFS and its ensembles kick up another tropical system that comes toward Florida that is not there in the European just yet. So there is some pretty sizable model differences, mostly driven by antics coming out of the tropics as we look out into the week 2 time period. From there, let's talk temperatures. Today, major warm-up in the center part of the country. 90s getting deep into the central plains here, possibly getting close to the triple-digit numbers right in through this area. So what we're going to watch is, as we go from Monday forward, Tuesday's high temperatures, look at this. This is midsummer-like heat here in this section of the United States. Still cool along the coast here and in the northeast. Pulling from there into the day on Wednesday, broad scale warmth across the United States as the jet stream really favors a trough off the coast here, a trough off the coast on the east side, and the tropical low is just not here yet. So the jet stream is flat and the heat is on. But as we get into the day on Thursday, look at the high temperatures, look at the heat. Friday, now working our way into the day on Saturday, and then eventually into Sunday. Now, this is where the pattern really goes over toward amplified, and we start to see the tropical system emerging here that's going to make for unsettled weather after that. So going from that point into the day 6 through 10 time period, so we got the European over here on the right and the GFS on the left. They do agree with the broader trough coming in and the heat that's going to be in the central United States as a result. But as I said, the pattern is progressive. You can see that moving out here that we kick this trough through. It's in both models, and therefore we bring in a bit of relief. But the GFS is much deeper in this trough, and as you can tell, behind it, it brings in cooler weather in the 11 to 15 day time period. The European sees a very similar thing here, but it's a bit more washed out. Now, there is a lot of uncertainty going into the middle of the month, and in my long-range technical update on Wednesday, I'll be discussing how the MJO is stalling out into phase 8 and 1. We're going to talk about how the global angular momentum did fall, but it's still anomalously high, which means it's above zero. We do need to watch what's going on with the trades. They have subsided. I'm sorry about that typo. They've subsided a bit, and the Southern Oscillation Index is still just weakly positive. But I'm going to be talking a lot about blocking patterns in the North Pacific and Atlantic and what that means for our summer. From here, though, I want to give you just a quick international update. Got some more video emerge about our locust problem that's happening in parts of Africa, over in the Middle East, getting over toward India. And this is just another view of what those swarms look like. I would encourage you, if you'd like to learn more about this, just go to FAO and search FAO and then locust, and you'll find all of their latest articles. But the video that's over there on the left is just incredible with what some of these swarms of desert locusts look like. From here, I want to take you to Europe, though. And I want you to see that when you look week 1, which is over here on the left, over into week 2, look at the changes happening around the Black Sea. Going over to a warmer pattern, and while we have unsettled wet weather here in parts of Ukraine this week, we do see more normal precipitation patterns, or at least the pattern gets washed out here a bit into week 2. So keep an eye on what's happening in Europe at this point. And I want to finish with South America. We have heavy rains that are anticipated to come down here into parts of southern Mato Grosso do Sul, Paraná, and Rio Grande do Sul. We are seeing that north and south of there in Argentina, and then where Brazil grows a lot of its safrinha crop, dry. But do notice that early this morning, we are watching out in southern Argentina's growing area for the potential for some frost down there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it right here. Hopefully that gave you a good international flavor at the end of this video, but we got a lot to keep our eye on, especially in the tropics. Hope you all have a great week. Look forward to giving you updates each day this week, all right? Have a good one. Thank you.